Ideal mesmo para o mundo atual seria fazer o ensino médio junto com o curso técnico, certo? É no Senac que o aluno tem autonomia de verdade, formação cidadã, foco na diversidade, preparação para o Enem, material didático sem taxas e muito mais. Na real, tem tudo que você precisa para se sentir preparado para a vida. Seja para entrar no mundo do trabalho ou te ajudar a decidir o que fazer na faculdade. Quer saber? Senac. Vem comigo. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino-médio-técnico.
When I was 16, I wanted to go to the dance club with my friend. And my mom said there was a shooting there last weekend. Absolutely not. And I'm like, Mom, no one's going to come back and shoot up the club the next weekend in a row. Okay, seriously? As a parent now, I see the logic. But as a teen, I turned to my mom and with the meanest face ever, I went, "You're such an ogre."
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why? Hello, everybody. How are you?
Today, we're talking about that phrase, I hate you. Because when kids lay that one down, my gosh, I feel like all of our parenting triggers are ignited. Like, I hear this a lot in our community. Like, what do you do? What do you do when your kid says, I hate you? I mean, have your kids ever said, I hate you?
Not that I recall, but I have been told that my mere existence irritates them. To me, that's kind of the same thing. Matter of fact, actually, I would say that one stung more. I think I would have been I looked at my kid and I was like, why don't you just say I hate you? And she said that because this sounds nicer. And I'm like, oh. But that's when I say it in my head, I don't like you very much right now. I love you. But I don't like you.
My kids have not said I hate you to me, but yeah. I could tell you all of the things going on in my head why they don't say I hate you. It's not because I'm a special wonder fairy or something like that, but I specifically go around these situations where I hate you could come up. Basically, I never put myself in a position where I am strictly against my children or telling them outright what to do, because I know from my perspective, I can't stand being told what to do. And you know this, Bree. You know, like, if you tell me what to do, I will fight you tooth and nail, and I will, like, go against even my best interest if I am told what to do. So knowing that part of my personality, I try not to put myself in that position against my kids, because there is no fighting me if you're telling me what to do. Like, I will make your life a living.
You are strong-willed when you feel like someone is directing you in a path that doesn't match what you see.
Yes. Well, what I see, or with any regard to my feelings whatsoever. And that could be part of how I grew up, is the reason why I act like that. And I'm going to get into that story.
I was going to say, I feel like there's a story a brewing for this podcast episode about what to do when your kid says, I hate you.
Yes. So let's go on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, so I've been told a strong personality. And sometimes I feel like I'm told that in not the nicest way.
What? Wait, you mean like somebody says it in a mean way, or they mean it in a mean way? They don't mean it
I feel like they
nice.
mean it in a mean way. I feel like it's like a sugar-coated, like, bless your heart. Like, bless your heart. You have a strong personality. Bless your heart. I'm like, thank you. I know what you're saying there, and I don't agree. But
that's funny. Sugar-coated, bless your heart. I'm going to use that from now on.
I do have a strong personality. I don't like being told what to do. I have very strong opinions, and sometimes, like, I feel like I have not been listened to in the past. And I think that's why I might dig in my heels so much. One story comes to mind. I mean, we grew up in the 90s. It was very authoritarian parenting there.
Yeah.
And authoritarian parenting, if you're not familiar with the term, it's basically parents make the rules, kids listen to the rules. If kids don't listen, they get punished.
Can I just say, whoever came up with the naming of parenting, why did you make one of the most detrimental parenting systems authoritarian? And why did you make one of the best parenting scenarios authoritative?
Mhm.
The same damn word, just with a different
Yeah.
ending. I
Yeah.
always mix them up, and it's a bad mix-up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a bad mix-up.
Authoritarian, I feel like I always see dictator as authoritarian. And then authoritative is like you still have authority as a parent. Don't worry, that's not going away. But you have also equal respect for your kids' wants, desires, and needs. And there's a high amount of love there.
Yeah.
That's the balance we seek to achieve as parents, not the authoritarian. But like my dad definitely ruled with an authoritarian hand. And he is a very nice man. And he thought like he was doing the best he could for us as kids. You know, he kept the order and everything. So one situation in particular comes to mind every time I think about this, because I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, and I had fallen in love with this school club. It was Odyssey of the Mind. And it was a team of us, so a team of 5. And what Odyssey of the Mind was, where we got a problem solving kind of thing, where we had to solve the problem through a skit. So it was like a story based problem. You solve it through the skit, and you then go compete with your team, where you go and present your performance of solving this problem. You get judged. And there was another piece of the competition too, where it's all about spontaneity and how quick you can come up with answers to a problem on the fly.
Interesting.
And it's a great organization. So I don't know if I think it is still around. But
I would have thought of it as more of like a trivia type thing.
No,
but
it's not trivia. It's more creative
Okay.
thinking and how like thoughts kind of meld together and how you can make creativity out of that. But
Okay.
I love this group. This was where
theater and logic like went together. This is your jam, girl.
Yes. So I spent all of my time with my OM team. We're getting ready for competition. We would meet on weekends. We would prepare. We would practice. We would rehearse. Then we would go to regionals, the first competition. And so with regionals, we placed in the top 3 in regionals, which meant that we got to go to state. And in between regionals and state, it was my very first year in high school and freshman. And my dad said, hey, if you get anything below a B, so if you get a C or below, you're out of OM. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, Dad. Da-da-da-da-da. And in my English class, I did not gel with the teacher at all. Like he had that way of dealing with things. He would specifically say, oh yeah, I told you to do this. And like, I had no memory of him saying to do these things. And then I wouldn't do them. And then he would grade them on them. So I felt so confused in the class. And so not like I could go and talk to the teacher about it, because every time I went to talk to the teacher, you know, and I got a C and I brought home that C. My dad yanked me out of OM right before state competition. And it devastated me.
Yeah.
It devastated. I was crying. I had to tell my team I was out until the next round of report cards came in, where I was able to I brought up the score to a B just by doing what the teacher told me, even though I highly disagreed with it, which it hurts my soul to do that, you know? Hurts my soul. And I had my team went to state and they won, thankfully. So then we went on to World and I was able to join them in World. But I felt the whole situation was just so blindly unfair, because yes, he did tell me he would take me out if I got a C, but I was 13 years old and I had no idea how to navigate that situation with my teacher, of him saying something for me to do and me not understanding it. And there was no thought or question asking of me, being like, hey, Joanne, like, what's going on in that class? How can I help you in that class? What are you feeling in that class? Like, nothing. My feelings were just whatever. It was get this B or else. And that is really where I was like, okay, well, if this is what he wants, this is what he's going to get. And so I got A's, but then I completely closed off the rest of my life. Completely. And that sucks.
Yeah.
To have your kid close off the rest of their life to their parents, because at that moment in time, I felt so unsupported, unloved, really. When I know my dad was doing it out of love, but still, I felt so
now, not at that time.
now.
Yeah,
I
like
know
at the
now.
time, you go through the gamut of emotions. God, I could see you trying to I could see, gosh, people can't see your face right now because it's a podcast, but Joanne is emotional.
I felt I just felt it. And in that moment,
still feel it.
If I didn't feel like I would get more punishment, I would have said, I hate you in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I hate you doesn't come out of disrespect for the parent. It comes out of feeling this disrespect as a child and feeling that your opinions and your worth don't matter. And I think that is so important to get through when your child says, I hate you. It's because they don't feel like they're being listened to. Now, I'm not saying that's anyone's intentions. Obviously, it was not my dad's intentions whatsoever. But that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about what to do after your child says, I hate you, I really think that taking into account how, as a parent, did I contribute to this situation right here? And what is my child actually saying to me when they say, I hate you? Because it's really not, I hate you. It's, hey, listen to me. I don't feel supported right now. And there's something else going on in me that I would have begged my dad, if I had known, just to ask me those questions and to feel that concern for me, because I would have told him if that interest had been shown.
Well, I have an interesting story I would love to share. I didn't quite say I hate you, but I was pretty damn close. And I'll share that right after this. Green Chef in every plate is now owned by HelloFresh, and with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between the brands, and now our listeners can enjoy all the brands at a discount with Joanne and me.
Oh my gosh, it is really time to just step out of the recipe rut and make something fun without having to shop for those ingredients where you only use a tablespoon of it and you have to buy the whole thing. HelloFresh has those pre-portioned ingredients, which mean less food waste.
And seriously, with the holiday season right around the corner, I am always looking for ways to have less stress. And one of my favorite hacks is to get HelloFresh because it makes mealtime so easy, hassle-free. Everything's delivered. I don't have to hit the grocery store for the umpteenth time that week.
Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free NGM. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free NGM.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
A Liberty Seguros agora é Yellow. Tudo aquilo que já era bom continua igual. Excelência e proximidade permanecem como nossa essência. Porque não é uma mudança, é uma evolução. A Yellow está sempre em sintonia com você. É liberdade com segurança. A melhor experiência acessível a todos os clientes. Iluminando cada passo da sua jornada. Deixe essa luz iluminar seu caminho. Yellow Seguradora. Seguro para viver livre. Consulte seu corretor.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. It's the busy holiday season, and the Uncommon Goods is here to make it less stressful and incredible. With hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and gets that's exactly what I wanted feeling.
That is so true too, Brie, because also shopping at Uncommon Goods, you buy from artists and small independent businesses. I got my husband the cocktail smoker and he opened it. He's like, oh my gosh. And I swear he's been playing with fire this entire time, but he loves it. And I don't know where I would have found this gift anywhere else.
So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/guilt. That's uncommongoods.com/guilt for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer, Uncommon Goods. We're out of the ordinary. So before we started recording this episode, you asked me, have my kids ever said I hate you? And I'm like, no, just the your mere existence annoys me. And I will hold that one as an ace in my pocket whenever I feel like throwing that sucker out there, because we can laugh about it now. Not in the moment, but we can laugh now.
Yeah.
I did have a moment though where I basically said I hate you to my mother, but I was too scared to say it, right? Because again, growing up in the 90s, authoritarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I got it right that time.
Big.
Authoritarian parenting. So what I had going on was I wanted to go out with my friends and or with my friend. My best friends that I hung out with all the time all had boyfriends at the time. I was in high school. I did not have a boyfriend at the time. I was hurt feeling excluded from my best friend pack. This is an important piece of the story.
And that's a huge point of contention for
Right?
teenage girls.
Nobody
excluded.
Exactly. And nobody was excluding me. They just had boyfriends and I did not. So they were, it was at the end of like a string of like maybe like a month and a half or so of like me not really getting to hang out with my friends a lot because they were spending time with their boyfriends. I had another friend that I had just started hanging out with and she liked to go to dance clubs. And in Kansas City, we had a couple of underage dance clubs, like 16 and up. And I was 16. And so I wanted to go to the dance club with my friend. And my mom said, absolutely not. There was a shooting there last weekend. And I'm like, Mom, that is so dumb. No one's going to come back and shoot up the club the next weekend in a row. Okay, seriously, people? And I believed that full-fledged. And I'm not saying it's not true. But the degree of which I felt disrespected at the comicalness of her logic. And it was logical. I would say the exact damn same thing right now. So anywho, I'm like, that's just dumb. Nobody's going to come shoot up the club 2 weekends in a row. It should be safe for me to go this time. And if anybody starts shooting, I will duck and crawl out. Mom, I'm a brilliant, mature 16-year-old. Whatever.
This sounds so much like your daughter, by the way.
So then my mom just goes straight out to, not only do I not want you to go, I forbid you from going to go do that. You cannot go out with that friend tonight because I don't trust that you won't still go to the club after I've told you no. So now I'm telling you, you can't go out with that one friend and that's it. And in my mom's eyes, all she said was, you can't go to the club because there was a shooting and you can't go out with that one friend because I know she's going to go to the club and you're going to end up going.
Yeah.
As a parent now, I see the logic. But as a teen, no, what I saw was, I don't care that you have no friends. I don't care that you have nothing to do. You're going to stay home because you're a loser. That's what I heard in my head. So I turned to...
That's valid.
Hey, Joanne.
Okay.
So then I turned to my mom and with the meanest face ever, I went, you're such an ogre. Who in 1990, I don't know, 6 says to their parent, you're such an ogre? I don't know. This is pre-Shrek days. That was my gentle way of saying, I hate you. I was immediately grounded because my mom was like, what did you, I swear to God, she was, what did you just call me? An ogre? Oh, fine. You're not leaving this house at all. And then like we got this huge fight and like it progressed into very, very, very bad territory. But that was me. Like that was me telling my mom I hated her. Like I called her an ogre. And did I not love my mom? No, I loved her. But in my child brain, I thought she was being illogical. And again, had she said to me, whoa, I'm hearing a lot of feelings right now. Why is this upsetting you so much? Mm-hmm. I would have said to her, I would have probably word vomited the whole dang thing. Yeah. My friends are leaving me out. I haven't seen them for months. I'm a loser. I have no other friends. I have nowhere else I can go. And I'm not saying she would have changed her mind. I'm pretty sure she still would have not let me go to the dance club that had people that got shot the weekend before. But she would have at least understood where I was coming from. And I think the situation would have had a completely different turnout.
Because your feelings in that situation were valid.
Yeah.
I think about how many people say, oh, teenagers are so emotional. And I have to say, like, if your teen's emotional, there is something else going on that you don't understand. Because they will just tell you, they will show you everything they're feeling inside. And nothing about it is ever illogical. There is always a reason behind the emotions. If they're like you said, like if you saw that emotional response in your kids, you'd be like, wait a minute, this is a really out of proportion response here. What is going on?
Or even if it wasn't an out of proportion response, knowing what I know now, I would be like, okay, we're going to all go cool off for a minute. And then we're going to talk about this because it's all about, like you said, like about validating, understanding that, okay, I hit something there that really triggered a huge response that, doesn't seem on par. So there's some misunderstanding. I'm not understanding where they're coming from. They're not understanding where I'm coming from. Something's happening here where we need to get ourselves on the same page.
There's something happening. It's so interesting. And we're going to get into what to do if your child gets into that I hate you right after this.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.
Are you overwhelmed by the things that get in the way of you doing what you want to do? Are you looking for ways to simplify life to better align with your values? Do you want to create space in your schedule so you have room for more of the good stuff? Play, joy, relationships, gratitude, and more? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I invite you to check out Edit Your Life, a podcast to help you edit the unnecessary from your life so you have more room to enjoy the awesome. Through episodes with me, Christine Coe, and a range of super smart, compassionate, and thoughtful guests, you'll come away with big picture insights and practical ways to declutter your home, schedule, and mental space without getting bogged down by perfection. I have always believed that small moments and actions matter tremendously. My goal is to help you find agency and space in your life through doable baby steps that will leave you feeling accomplished instead of overwhelmed. Check out Edit Your Life wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Hi there, I'm Andrea Owen, self-help author with 19 translations of my books, global keynote speaker, and life coach. My podcast, Make Some Noise, has been serving up self-help in a simple-to-digest way for the last decade. The topics brought in each episode are practical and easy to implement around topics such as working through fears that keep you stuck, different modalities of therapy, managing your negative self-talk, and more. We bring you guest experts, solo episodes, and I even coach listeners on the air around relatable struggles. I also do my best to weave my sense of humor into some heavy topics because, let's face it, life can be pretty hard, and it's so much better when we can have some fun while walking through our challenges. Whether you're seasoned in personal development or just starting out, Make Some Noise podcast will help you become the best version of yourself, the person you're proud of when you look in the mirror and show up in your life. Simply search Make Some Noise with Andrea Owen wherever you listen to your podcasts.
So when I first started really conversing with people, I would be afraid of conflict, Brie. I would think I had to manage the conflict. I would think I had to say the exact right thing so people wouldn't get mad. Now, however, knowing what I know now, I realize that when emotion comes out in situations, it's not my job so much to manage it. It's first my job to figure out what exactly is going on. Like, what exactly are we talking about? What are the other things this person is thinking that
what's their story, right?
It's emotional. Yeah, it's creating this emotional response. And that's what we have to do with our kids. So the first step you mentioned is first, everybody needs time to cool off.
Yeah.
Because emotions get fiery and they hide up logical reasoning. So you need that time for everyone to calm down and for that logical brain to get back online.
Okay, so I have to be like, this happens all the time in our life. Have you ever gone grocery shopping hungry?
Oh, yeah.
Where your emotions are high, you are hungry, you end up coming back with you make decisions that you wouldn't have made had you been in a normal, calm state.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's is the example I would give that. Because if you're ever thinking like, oh, but the disrespect needs to be handled right away. Oh, trust me, with the exception of like a 2 or 3-year-old saying that they hate you, they're going to remember that they said it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
because again, like I know we're referring to times where this happened when we were older, but even if your 5-year-old says I hate you, I can guarantee you that if you take the time to calm down and you come back to it, they're still going to remember that they said it.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like you don't have to ignore it was said either. Like if I hate you comes out of like one of your children's mouths, hold up. That's not cool. We need to take some time to cool off.
Yes.
And you could say
yes. Yes. That's addressing it, right? So like, again, like if you feel like the disrespect has to be addressed immediately, the way you just said that, it like no matter how old your kid is, hold up. We don't talk like that. Hold up. That's not cool. Hold up.
That hurts me. Cool down.
Yeah.
Anything like that you could do, but you need to give your child a chance to cool down. Now, when I started doing this, my kids needed a lot of time to cool down.
Can you give us like a number?
4 to 5 hours sometimes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Where it'd be a lot, like a huge emotional response. And especially if there's any neurodiversity in your household, and I would say there's neurodiversity in every single person. It's a spectrum, really. The higher you go on the spectrum of neurodiversity, particularly if you have kids with ADHD or are on the autism spectrum, emotional like meltdowns are going to be a lot more extreme, a lot more intense, and last for a lot longer. With ADHD in particular, you feel emotions so much stronger. You have this, what is it called in ADHD? Now the term is slipping away from me. It's like you feel conflict more. You feel rejection more. It's this rejection thing you feel with ADHD. And I'm going to have to look at it. Rejection sensitive dysphoria.
There we go. Yes, I do know that. I've seen that and I've read that and I totally agree with it. Oh my God. Because you're just afraid that everybody is rejecting you right out the bat. So you're like, okay.
Yeah. The ADHD kiddos are going to have higher emotional responses because of that. If you have ADHD as a parent, I have ADHD, I have huge rejection sensitive dysphoria. If I feel like I'm rejected in any way, I will go completely into like my own little shell meltdown. All of the shame and guilt will come in. So just know that. It helps too when you need to address the issue. If you know this about yourself, I have to give myself some time to cool down. Because what I want to talk about when I'm angry is very, very different from what I want to talk about when I'm cooled down. I could see the logic under it when I'm cooled down and I'm like, oh, it's this conversation.
It's like that term of flipping your lid. Because when you're really upset, you flip your lid. And I know that nobody can see what I'm doing in podcast land, but I'm making the little fist with like you're thinking with the emotional part of your brain. Once you're able to calm down, then you can move it back to the front where you have like your executive thinking and you have your logical brain.
Yeah. I can actually give you an example of it.
Yes.
Because this just happened yesterday where we had come back from a vacation over the weekend. Like we came back Sunday night, Monday morning. There was still so many things to do. I went to go pick up the dog from boarding in the morning. My daughter woke up completely late. And so my husband wasn't able to take her to school because he had an early meeting. But he didn't tell me this. I came home from picking up the dog. My daughter's still standing there. She's like, "Can you give me a ride to school? I'm so sorry." And immediately I'm like, this is your dad's job. Like I'm thinking this to myself. I'm so mad. He's disrespecting my time. He doesn't think my time is worthwhile as he is. Those were my emotions talking. And I'm like, okay, I'm mad. I realize I'm mad. I need to give this some time. And so since I've gone through this so often, it only needed 30 minutes until I started thinking again. And I'm like, hold up. We have had this discussion before. It is not about disrespect. It is basically he needs to know exactly what I need in this scenario. It was really stressful for me to come home from doing something that's usually not in my morning routine to be confronted with something else that I had to do right away, like at a moment's notice. Like that is a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And I would have appreciated like a heads up, an explanation, like saying like, hey, I am so sorry. This is coming for you. Like, and anything, just address it.
Yeah.
And so when I was addressing it with him, he's like, oh, I thought like she was telling you, she was texting you that she needed a ride and she woke up late. And I'm like, I get that, but this text needs to come from you because I need to know that you're respecting my time in this situation. Even though I know you probably think you do, I need to know it needs to come from you. And he's like, got it. And so it was a total different conversation versus if I had it when I was angry versus cool down.
Yeah.
Let everybody cool down.
That's a fantastic example of it. So yeah, exactly. Because the things that you can say, you will probably end up regretting later. Like that's the other thing I want to toss out to you. Chances are good that your kids at some point will regret having had the conversation the way that they did. Just you and I alone, right? We're sharing these stories of things that we did, which I can tell you in the moment, in the year even, I still would have been pissed off and been like, I was totally in my right. But now here I am. I'm finally able to actually see their perspective when I was acting the way that, I don't know, my teenage daughter acts now. Because of that I now have the child that I was. I can reflect back now and see my parents' perspective a lot better. And I'm laughing at it. Like I was what? That was a ridiculous scenario. It was just anger and yeah.
Yeah. And you could also look at it being like, okay, my parents were doing the absolute best that they knew how to do at the time. I needed something different at that time. And now that we know that about kids and we know that about thinking, we can give this to our kids. We can give them the stuff that we needed as a kid.
I think that's the big thing that is the biggest mind shift into this, authoritative parenting thought process is what are the things that would have been helpful for you when you were younger? Yeah. And I found the biggest piece that has been helpful to my teens, and again, I'm shooting back to teens because I have them now, but even when they were younger, was giving them the benefit of the doubt and pausing, coming back and asking questions. So we've talked about how you need to give your child and you time to cool down. And that's different for every kid. It's different for scenarios. It could take 30 minutes. It could take 4 hours. You don't know. There's no rule of thumb that's going to be this is the best time. You just have to gauge that on your own. Yeah. 2, talking once everybody is in that calm state. And then what is step number 3 that comes along with that when you're talking?
You have to repair the situation. And in this sort of circumstance, it goes full circle. So the story I told you about what I needed in that situation, why my dad said, why I wanted to say I hate you to my dad, why you called your mom an ogre. Like when you repair, you're reflecting on how you could have handled it differently. And that's what I do with my kids. And I'm like, hey, like we got into this like little tense moment here. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I do realize what I did. And I apologize for things all the time to my daughter and tell her the reasons. And I'm like, when you said this, it triggered this in me. And I thought you were doing this, even though you probably weren't. That was just the story I was telling myself. And I'm sorry. And I'm going to work on handling that better next time. But when you repair and you admit like your contribution to the situation, it is so powerful. Because you will see your kids are more likely then to admit their contribution to the situation.
Yes, tell us what they learned, Joanne. Like my little game show host. Show us what they've won. What did they win in terms of life skills from that conversation?
Yeah, well, they'll probably apologize for saying I hate you.
They'll learn
go into the conversation like that.
They'll learn that they have that they had a part in it.
Yeah.
They will learn that it's okay to apologize to people.
Yes.
They will learn that communication truly does help make things better.
Yeah, and that conflict makes things better and that you can recover from conflict.
Yes, you don't have to hide from it. You don't have to have a relationship where you're perfect all the time.
You can hash it out and it'll be okay. I think that that is the most important thing to realize for some people and in relationships, that you can hash it out with someone and still you could feel closer to them after because you just learned a little bit more about the other person. I know that I have had relationships in the past with friends who they said one thing to me and I told them I didn't like it and they never talked to me again. And that friendship was definitely doomed from the start.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I would have fixed that friendship because I didn't reach out to them because I felt hurt in that situation.
Yeah.
I probably, like, if this was happening today, if that happened, I probably would have reached out and been like, hey, that really hurt. Let's talk. Like, knowing that they would have had a chance to cool down.
Yeah.
And talk about it. But we were in college.
Well, okay. That's a great example right there.
Mm-hmm.
We as the parents, well, unfortunately and fortunately, we have to carry that heavy load. We have to be the one that shows our kids how to show up because, right? Because if we are expecting, even with my teens and even with yours, like your kids, even though we have both done this sort of parenting with them for pretty much their whole life, I still don't expect my 16 and 17-year-old to be able to master this. Like if we have a disagreement, and let's say they were like 100% in the wrong here. What's an example? I had a kid that had a car accident and didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. And he got away with it for a couple of weeks because, he moves between two houses and where he parks the car, we didn't see the dent until later. And it's like, what happened here? And he's like, well, I didn't tell you guys because I thought I was going to get in trouble. I didn't expect him to come to me and apologize or anything right away. Because again, he doesn't have that. I don't expect that sort of logic from him. Why? Because his frontal lobe is not completely, he doesn't have all that figured out yet. The brain is not completely developed. So I, as someone who does have a developed brain, needs to take in that step and be like, okay, let's talk about this. What happened? What could we have done differently? I could have screamed at him about the dent. All that would have done is solidified his thought process that I was going to lose my shizzy when I found out.
Yeah, that I think is the really hard part. Like you as the parent, if your kid says, I hate you, you're going to have to be the one who starts the conversation. Like they will not come to you. Just don't expect it. They will not come to you. So don't like give them the silent treatment and being like, you haven't come and talked to me yet. Because I've seen that happen. I saw that happen in my house when I was younger. Don't expect it. Don't expect it. Like you have to be the one to do the conversation. And I swear, like it is going to pay off so much. It's a hard conversation to have though. So we hope that this has brought you a little bit of comfort. Your child doesn't hate you. They're just feeling unlistened to and there's ways to solve that situation.
And these steps do work.
Yeah. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. And we will talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.